The game is played across 9 turns, which are further divided into 3 phases: the room phase, build phase, and guest phase. Players begin each turn with 5 coins. In the room phase, fill each empty slot with a room card, starting from down up. Then, taking turns in clockwise direction from the first player, buy rooms using their own coins. After all players are done, move the remaining rooms down and replenish new rooms from the deck. Most rooms grant you a bonus item depending on their position on the board. These items in turn grant various bonuses to a castle when they are built. You can keep all of these items in your personal inventory for now, up to a limit of 3 for each type. In the build phase, there is no turn order. Everyone may perform their actions simultaneously now. Players with remaining coins may purchase pillars, floor tiles, and construction cards. When a player is done with the coins, he may build up his castle with the items he owns. Every player has his own personal player board. Begin by placing floor tiles onto any or all of the 3 floor spaces on the board. Building up levels is easy. Simply use pillars to hold up the next level of floor tiles. Pillars can be placed anywhere on the floor tiles, except for the room spaces and bridge ends. To build a bridge, flip over a floor tile and place it between the 2 front towers of a castle. Both the floor tiles holding up the bridge must have bridge ends depicted on them. To build a roof, flip over a floor tile and place it over a tower. This tower cannot be built any higher now. Bridges and roofs must be built on levels 3 or higher. All cobblestone markings must have at least 1 pillar on them before placing the next tile above. Similarly, all other items in the game have rules on how to place them into a castle. Rooms can only be placed onto floor tiles that have room spaces. Some of them also have specific height requirements. Lower arrows indicate that they can only be built on levels 1 or 2. Upper arrows mean that they can only be built onto levels 3 or higher. For a full set of item placement rules, players can look at the quick reference guide on all player boards. Remember that other than the base floor tiles, if any item not in a player's inventory touches a player's board, that player gets a collapse penalty in the form of a permanent -2 victory points token. Successfully placed items immediately add their bonus to a player's castle. This is updated live. In the guest phase, reveal the top card of the guest deck. For 1 to 2 players, only the top guest appears. In a 3 to 4 player game, both guests appear. The king always goes to the castle with the highest defense. The princess always goes to the castle with the highest comfort. And the knight always goes to the castle with the highest offense. If castles tie for a guest, the guest will not go into any of the castles and just moves on. Castles must first have available room space to house the guest type before they can compete for it. On turns 4, 7, and 9, if there is a fire icon on the top right corner of the guest card, the dragon has invaded the lands. If the dragon did not appear on turn 4 or 7, it will appear the following turn regardless of icons. All players refer to the dragon chart to determine their damage taken. A player can choose to use either his defense or offense attribute for the chart reference. Taking turns, draw 5 dragon chits from the draw bag and resolve 1 chit for every damage taken. A player can offer a princess in his castle to the dragon to appease it. This reduces the damage taken by 2 to a minimum of 1. This must be done before drawing chits. Players are allowed to resolve chits that deal nothing to them. If a player has no decors in his castle, he can choose to resolve a dragon chit that removes decors, in which case he would remove nothing. After turn 9, the game ends. Players score victory points based on how well they built their castle. A full reference of the victory points scoring chart can be found on all player boards.